Hello there. Every single day, without even realizing it, you're making economic decisions? From choosing what to eat for breakfast, deciding between public transport or a ride-hailing app, to figuring out whether to take a new job or stay put. But did you know there are 10 universal principles that explain all of these decisions? Let's dive in and learn them together. Imagine your booty, a university student trying to study. Your time is limited to only 24 hours in a day. Every hour you spend studying economics is one less hour you have for sleeping or playing games. This is called a trade-off. It's not just for individuals. Governments face trade-offs too. Every dollar spent on the military is a dollar less for education. Every strict environmental standard can increase production costs. Right now, many countries are choosing, do we prioritize economic growth or a cleaner environment? There's nitrogen monoxide perfect answer, only a trade-off. The key insight is that successful people understand these trade-offs and make conscious choices, not just random ones. Next up, opportunity cost. Meet Ayu. She just graduated and has 3 job offers. One pays 5 million rupiah but has a 2-hour commute. The second pays 4.5 million but is close to her home. And the third pays 3.5 million but is flexible, allowing her to continue her studies. If Ayu takes the second option, her opportunity cost isn't just losing 500,000 rupiah. It's also the value of her extra free time, the value of better health from not being exhausted by a long commute, and the value of the lost opportunity to pursue further education. The true cost is much bigger. Or consider Mrs. Rina, a housewife thinking about opening a food stall. She thinks the cost is just 10 million for equipment. Wrong. The opportunity cost includes her own time, which could have earned her a salary, the risk of losing her capital, and the reduced time with her family. The real cost is far greater. The most successful tech companies understand this. They don't just look at cash costs. They calculate the cost of their best engineers going to a competitor or the cost of delaying a product launch. This is why companies like Gojek and Grab are willing to pay extremely high salaries. Let's talk about thinking at the margin. Pak Aldi owns a busy Padang restaurant. He wonders every day, should I hire another chef or not? Pak Aldi doesn't need to calculate the total revenue one chef generates. Instead, he asks, how much additional revenue will a third chef bring in? And what is the additional cost of their salary? This is marginal thinking. When the restaurant is quiet, an extra chef might only make a few extra dishes, adding 200,000 in revenue. But their salary is 400,000. It's a loss. Don't hire. But when it's busy, an extra chef could handle 50 more customers, adding to million in revenue. That's a profit. Hire the chef now. This way of thinking is powerful. Students use it to decide if an extra course is worth it. Employees consider if 1 hour of overtime pays off. Is traveling an extra hour to the office worth it? It's all about the margin. Now for incentives. Meet Booty, a ride-sharing driver. Why does he work so hard? Incentives. The more rides he completes, the more money he makes. Remember when fuel prices went up? What happened? More people started taking public transport. The incentive changed. The cost of driving went up, so people switched to the bus. The demand for ride-sharing drivers went down. That's the power of incentives. Let's look at a real case. A government offers larger child benefits. Does this incentivize people to have more children? Research shows it has an impact, but not a huge one, because that financial incentive is just one of many factors. This is important. Incentives matter, but they aren't everything. They come in many forms. Money like bonuses, status like promotions, satisfaction from meaningful work, or even pressure from deadlines. They all work. Let's discuss the gains from trade. Imagine Indonesia can produce either 100 leather bags or 10 laptops a day. The United States can produce either 50 leather bags or 100 laptops a day. Who has the absolute advantage? The US, they're better at making both. But who has the comparative advantage? For Indonesia, making one bag costs 0.1 laptops. Making one laptop costs 10 bags. For the US, one bag costs 2 laptops and one laptop costs half a bag. Indonesia is more efficient at making bags. The US is more efficient at making laptops. If they trade, Indonesia can focus on making 100 bags, and the US can focus on making 100 laptops. Then they trade 50 bags for 50 laptops. The result: both countries now have 50 bags and 50 laptops more than they could have produced on their own. This is why countries export certain goods and import others. It's not about being bad at something, it's about comparative advantage. Let's go to a market and talk about the invisible hand. Mrs. Yanti is selling meatballs. A beer asks, "How much?" She says, "15,000. The beer replies, "Too expensive. How about 10? Mrs. Yanti says, "The lowest I can go is 12. They make a deal at 12,000. This isn't Mrs. Yanti masterminding the economy. It's the market price automatically coordinating millions of people. When prices go up, producers are tempted to supply more. When prices fall, consumers are tempted to buy more. The price finds its own equilibrium without anyone in charge. Now, imagine the government sets a price ceiling for meatballs at 5,000. What happens? Mrs. Yanti stops selling because she'd lose money. A shortage occurs, long lines, but no meatballs. The invisible hand of the market is often smarter than we think. So, when do markets fail and we need the government? A factory pollutes a river. The factory doesn't pay for the cost of its pollution. This is an externality the market doesn't handle this well. Or imagine all internet providers agree to fix their prices. That's a monopoly. The market can't set a competitive price. We need government intervention to break up the cartel, and who should build a bridge. The market can't because everyone wants to use it for free. These are public goods and they need the government. The government also needs to establish clear property rights, enforce contracts, and prevent fraud. Without these rules, the market can't function properly. Let's move on to productivity. Meet Pak Sumarno, a farmer. 50 years ago, using hand tools, he could produce 100 kilograms of rice in a day. Today, with machinery, he can produce 1,000 kilograms. His productivity has increased tenfold. His nominal wage has also gone up tenfold. But what about his real wage adjusted for prices? It has also increased tenfold. Is that a coincidence? Nitrogen monoxide. The standard of living rises when productivity rises. There are no exceptions in history. In 1980, Taiwan and Myanmar had similar incomes. Taiwan invested in education and technology, Myanmar did not. Today, Taiwan's income is 20 times higher. Why? Productivity. And what about inflation? Imagine the government prints 10 trillion rupiah in 1 year, but the amount of goods and services in the economy doesn't increase. What happens? The money supply doubles, but the supply of goods stays the same, so prices have to double. A bowl of meatballs goes from 12,000 to 24,000. That's inflation. In Zimbabwe in 2008, the government printed money recklessly, leading to hyperinflation of 89 sextillion%. The money became worthless. So, the job of a central bank is to keep inflation moderate, around 3 to 5%. That's enough to encourage investment, but not so much that it destroys purchasing power. Balance is key. Finally, the short-run trade-off between inflation and unemployment. The government says, let's stimulate the economy with subsidies. The subsidies increase consumer demand, so companies need to hire more people. unemployment goes down, but with everyone having more money, demand for goods rises and prices go up, inflation rises. So, there's a trade-off. Would you rather have 5% unemployment and 3% inflation, or 3% unemployment and 8% inflation? The government's choice depends on its priorities and politics. These 10 principles aren't just theory. They are in every decision you make. When you choose a job, you're thinking about opportunity cost. When you work overtime, you're calculating the marginal benefit. When you support a government policy, remember the trade-offs. Economics isn't just about money, it's about making optimal choices with limited resources. And now you know the principles. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more fun economics lessons.